G'day viewers, this video is a bit of a cry for help, probably in more ways than one. You see viewers, I'm a lot of things, handsome, intelligent and above all modest. But one thing I absolutely, positively am not is any good at growing aquarium plants. So hopefully with your help, all of that is about to change. You see viewers, I do love a nice planted tank. And I enjoy nothing more than getting on the YouTube and watching videos from people like Morning Driftwood, Tara's Tank Friends, and who could forget the Java farmer from down under, the man himself, Colin from Aussie Aquatic. I just love their beautiful planted tanks with all that luscious green growth and all those vibrant colours. And then I look at my tanks. For me, success is just keeping a plant barely alive, although it might be so sickly it probably wishes it was dead. But it's not like I can't grow anything. I can manage to grow a few veggies occasionally, and I can certainly grow plants on top of an aquarium. And if growing duckweed was an Olympic sport, viewers, I would be champion of the world. So I decided that it's finally time for me to learn to grow aquatic plants properly. So introducing my practice plant propagation project. This is where I hope to try out a few techniques and a few different plants. So hopefully I can improve the survival rate of my flooded flora. So join me now viewers, and together we will peruse my practice plant propagation project together. Righto viewers, for my first attempt at a planted tank, I decided to use this little 2-foot aquarium I just had laying around, not doing very much at all. And so the substrate is garden soil from a bag from the hardware store, which I just washed and sieved and gave it a rinse. And that's on the bottom, and there's pool filter sand on top of that to hopefully cap in those nutrients. And the local pet shop was having a bit of a sale on, so I lashed out and bought an Aqua One plant strip glow light, which is 17.5 watts. And I thought, why not go the whole hog? So I installed a Aussie Aquatic inspired CO2 system. It's just a soda stream bottle, and the regulator has a solenoid on it which is connected to a timer. And this is the amount of bubbles I have coming out, so if anyone can tell me if that's too much or not enough, that'd be really good, because I'm not really sure. But I haven't killed any fish, so far so good. So the first plant up is what I like to call the red plant, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce the proper name for this one, so we'll just call it the red plant. I started off with about 5 stems, and they sat there, they shot roots out and didn't do very much at all, and kind of struggled away till I put some liquid fertilizer in, and then it grew an inch overnight, and it looks really good. And the underside of the leaves have that beautiful red, purpley, pinky colour, but the top of the leaves are green. So if that's the way it's meant to be, let me know. Plant number 2 is a Echinodort, is an Amazon sword, and this one is frilly. And it struggled away, it didn't really do a lot. And then once I think the roots found the dirt underneath, it started to grow, but then the leaves were curling over, which they tell me is a calcium deficiency. But I have some dolomite and potash down under the substrate, so I think once it found that dolomite and got a bit of calcium, it's been going pretty well since. Amazon sword number 2 is Kleiner Bar. And it's got those great big fat leaves, and apparently this one gets pretty big. It's got that really dark reddish growth underneath. That top leaf has just slowly been dying off like that ever since it's been in there, but all the new leaves all look really nice and healthy, so I'm pretty happy with this one. Now sword number 3, I'm not sure which variety that one is, because it's a pup which came from the swords in our other community tank. Here's another little pup, which is on the old flower spike. You see one on top with the snail on it, and there's another one half one down, and they're just developing roots, so it's nearly time to pick them off. And there's a new flower spike coming up.
And here's what the original sword looks like, and that's just growing in sand. There's no fertilizer, no root tabs, nothing. And have a look at it. And so once I cut this one off, I grew it in a pot, and it struggled away and didn't do anything, and the roots were falling off. But after I put it in this tank, after about 2 weeks, once those roots found that soil, it's just gone nuts ever since, and it looks beautiful. So I'll be definitely growing more of these. Now this one I can pronounce, it's Blixa japonica, and it's just a little clumping grass type plant, sort of go down the front or in the middle there somewhere. I'll put it in, and that's pretty much all it's done. It's grown a little bit, but the leaf tips are a bit yellowy how you're going, but I started adding a bit of fertilizer, so we'll see if that one improves. But it hasn't died, so we're halfway there, aren't we? Now this is some dwarf hair grass. I had a clump and I separated as much as I could and spread it out, and it didn't really do anything at all until I added the CO2, and it's green up and it's grown, and it's slowly starting to shoot out a few runners now. You can see they're all new little runners in between that valve. So hopefully over time it'll spread into a bit of a carpet, which will be good. And speaking of the Vallisneria, I don't know what variety this one is. It started as one plant in that back corner and then just started to spread. It's worked its way down to the front and then now across the front, and it puts out a runner, a new plant, about every 2 or 3 days. So I might have to start trimming and pulling a few out before it takes over, but yeah, how good is that? And this here's some Brazilian pennywort, which I had just floating in the top, and it kind of struggled away a bit, but I think because of the lack of fertilizer. But once I planted this one in the bottom, after about 1.5 weeks, 2 weeks, it got that first leaf, and once I got the first leaf, it just hasn't stopped. It's going gangbusters. Now here's where I really need your help, viewers. I have no idea what this is, and I'm not even 100% sure where it came from. It's come in with a second-hand tank somewhere, and it's always been floating around, struggling and not doing anything spectacular, till I stuck it in here, and it sat there for a couple of weeks, and now it started growing. It's growing fairly quick, so if someone can tell me what it is, that'd be really good. Now this skinny little fella at the back there is Creeping Jenny, which is not a true aquatic plant. Got it at a hardware store in a pot, and then just shook the dirt off and stuck a couple of stems in the tank, and it's gone pretty well. The new growth, all the leaves are a lot more compact and tighter since it's been underwater. And this little one here is even bifurcated, which is a fancy word, viewers, for growing another branch. And the rest of the stems from the pot just stuck in a jar of water up there, and they're growing their water roots. So some might go in a tank and the rest will go on top of a tank, but there's plenty there, so stay tuned for that. Now for the population of my practice plant propagation project, first up I have these little ember tetras, and they're just gorgeous. I had them in another tank, and I thought, well, they were the crash test dummies to go in here a couple of months after the plants had struggled away, and they've not only survived, but they've thrived. They've coloured up really well, and it's this beautiful little school that swims around the middle of the tank, and it looks lovely. Yeah, great little fish. Also have a few small pygmy corydoras, which unlike regular cories, who mostly hang around the bottom, these guys spend more time swimming around the middle and up the top than what they do foraging around the substrate. Oh, they're really cool. They just don't stop, and they're so much fun. Yeah, they're really good. Also have a few little blue panda endlers in here. There's the one male I have. I'll have to slow this down so you can actually see him, because he will not stay still. Now, as much as I enjoy having a big tank with my big South Americans, I'm really enjoying having this little planted tank. It's a lot of fun and a lot of activity, and definitely something new. So once I work out how to do it all, I plan on doing a bigger version of this tank. So watch this space.
Well, viewers, that about sums up the progress on my practice plant propagation project. So any tips or advice or help you can offer, it would be greatly appreciated. So that's about it for now. So I'm off to do some underwater pruning.
Oh God, that is bloody awful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.